And now it's time for part 3 in the Tales from the Landlord series. Today we're going to talk about fixing up a house you just bought. You decided you want to be a rental property owner. You've gone through the whole process of getting approved for financing, and now you're looking at houses. One to get as cheap as possible and make as much as possible on it by renting it out. And when it comes to um, picking a house, you really got to look around at all the details of the house, what needs fixed, what's already in good shape. And you have to know, and it kind of comes with experience, this job will cost this much, this job will cost that much, replacing maybe a water heater or a stove or a roof or changing some windows, painting the place. Everything costs more than you think it will. And when you're working on one job, you'll find something else that needs fixed, and that's more money. Money that's going out. Money that's going out is bad. Money coming in to me is good. It's that simple. Um, when I have looked at houses to buy, I've seen all kind of things. Now, when you're working with a neighborhood where you can buy a duplex for $40,000, you got to be realistic. You're not getting a brand new house. You're getting a house that is 70 or 80 years old at least. Maybe they took care of it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe there's rotted wood, termites, a 50-year-old roof that is falling apart. Uh, Air leaking around all the windows, the doors don't work right, lights don't work, plumbing problems, all these kind of things. And you have a few minutes going through the house to look around at things, and it just takes time and experience to learn what to look for, what to be worried about, what you don't have to, think about too much. You got to have a good handyman. I do have a handyman who he does pretty good work. I've never had a problem with his work, but he's good, so he's busy. So getting on his schedule can be tricky. And I've had people who are selling me a house or trying to sell me a house, cover up all kind of things. There was a big pile of dirt in one room. Oh, don't worry about that. My handyman's going to clean that up. He'll be back here next week or so. Yeah. I'll tell you about one house I looked at. I was there with the guy and everything. Oh, yeah, it's a little thing. It's a little thing. I just need to sweep it up there, put a coat of paint on. No big deal. Yeah. Yeah, he had the answers for everything. Well, what do you want for? I could just see in the roof of the house, the roof was going like this. So that's always a bad sign. And just from the front of the house, I could see some rotted wood around the corners of the roof. Well, we left, and maybe a week later, I came by when nobody was around, and I walked around the entire house and I looked at everything again. And there were so many problems just from the outside of the house. I wouldn't have taken the house for free. It would not have been worth the trouble. But yeah, when you get a house, you have to clean it up and fix it up and get it ready for inspections. Because here, at least here in my area, when you buy a house, when the property is transferred, the local municipality wants to do their new occupancy inspection. And then if you're going to rent it out Section 8, they want to do their inspection. So you have one or two different inspectors coming by to look at the place, to critique every little thing. Now, for the most part, their guidelines are pretty simple. If it's there, it has to work. Like if there's a screen door in the front of the house, it can't have a broken window and ripped up screen. Fix the screen. If it has a ceiling fan, the ceiling fan has to work right. Like you can't have a ceiling fan where one light bulb works and the fan doesn't spin. One of the big things, if someone opens a window, the window has to stay up by itself. Because of what if their answer, well, what if there's a fire and someone's trying to get out and the window falls down? Well, if they want to get out of the house bad enough, they'll find a way to get out that window, whether it stays up on its own or not. But inspectors, they don't want to hear that. If there's plumbing problems and leaks, of course, you don't want to have that going on, because that makes a lot more problems if you don't fix it right away. If it needs a roof, get it done, and know before you even buy the house, does it need a roof? Because, $5,000 and up for a roof could be a lot more expensive. And you don't want to buy a house for top dollar and, oh yeah, it needs a roof too. No, you really gotta watch that kind of thing. When I'm cleaning up a house, One of my big things, for whatever reason, is I like to have the basement clean. And not just sweep the floor. No, you go in there with a hand broom and you start on the ceiling and on the top of all the heating ducts. I'm up there sweeping off all the dirt off the heating ducts, all of the rafters and the wood. I'm sweeping the ceiling, the sides of all the boards, everything on that ceiling is getting swept. Then you're sweeping down the walls and then the floor. And then you take a water hose, and while avoiding the power outlets, I wash down the walls with a water hose because that gets so much more dust and dirt off of the place than trying to sweep it with even the best broom. That's always been my thing. In my house at the rental properties, I always want to have a nice clean basement. It may not be a perfectly clean basement, but a whole lot better than one that hasn't been swept in 20 years with spider webs all over the place and an inch of dust on top of the heating ducts and things like that. That's just one of my things. So when you're going to look at a house to buy, your biggest concern is, what kind of shape is this in? What am I going to have to fix? Because and what are the inspectors going to look for? Because all that stuff has to be taken into account. So you don't just go buy the first house you find because it was cheap. Well, it's not going to be cheap. By the time you get done fixing it, you're going to pay the same amount of money that you would have paid for a house that was already fixed and in good shape. Someone had written in the comments here. I don't know what that means. Oh, I'm going to include another link to a video. Link in the description. This is a video from a guy who does a lot of real estate sales. And all his houses are, big, fancy, expensive houses. So it's kind of like what I do, but a whole different price range. But he went to a Lowe's and he was going around the store telling you, don't waste your money on this. Buy this. Almost as good and a whole lot cheaper. That's the LoudMouthTim way. Almost as good and a whole lot cheaper. Now, my houses are not, beat up, like I'm not a slumlord or anything. I'll do a little bit of work to get the place cleaned up and fixed up and things are nice and neat. But I ain't going to go fancy with all kinds of, extra decorations and all that kind of thing. It's there, it's clean, it's neat. We're dealing with people renting for cash in a low-income neighborhood or Section 8. You get what you need. 4 walls, a roof, a floor, and a door. And that's it. You want fancy? You should have done better in life and be able to afford going to live in a better area with much more expensive houses. So, got to keep your expectations realistic. Anyhow, that's all for today. Watch this video I'll put in the description, and you'll get more of an idea of what I'm talking about. I'll fix the things that need fixed, but you got to do it smart, financially smart. Do it right, but don't do it expensive. So, and once you've done all this, you have a clean house that will pass inspection, that's not going to have problems all the time, and then you can rent it out, assuming the tenants take care of the place and don't wreck it, which is a whole other problem. But that's all for today's video. Watch this video in the link in the description, and you'll see more of what I'm talking about. I could have made a similar video, but he already made this video. So why do it again? Just piggyback off his work. Let him do the work for me. I'll just put the link in here. Say, here, watch the video. Then you get the same end result without me doing extra work. The LoudMouthTim way.